Everyone, and welcome by a presentation video of Strassmayr TS Vario lineup of emulsion sprinklers. These top-of-the-line emulsion sprinklers are built to efficiently spray large areas with emulsion without the operator making his hands dirty or being tired after a full day of work. These machines are computerized and they have a hydraulic spray bar, and they can be equipped with the emulsion tanks ranging from 4,000 liters up to 16,000 liters. And additionally, we can install 2,000 liters water tank under the same shield, which will be made from stainless steel and then used to feed the rollers on the job site by the means of a water pump, which you can see now in the middle of the screen. So today I would like to focus on the main advantages of the Vario emulsion sprayers, tell you a little bit about how this machine functions, what can be the additional equipment that you can order by these machines. Focus now on one of the additional equipment that we have installed on this machine as per request of the customer. This additional equipment is a 2,000 liter water tank installed on the front of the machine. It is made from stainless steel. It is integrated and welded into the same construction as the emulsion tank, which is located in the back, and then they are both covered and insulated by the same structure from the outside. We can see the level of water by this simple tool. It's low right now, but we are preparing the machine for delivery. And then we can use all of those four different connections for different actions of the pump. For example, you can fill in the water to the water tank by the means of an external pump by simply connecting the hose and the external pump to feed the water inside of the tank. There's a pipe going inside, up from the top of the tank, which allows you to feed the water into this tank. There's a similar one on the other side of the machine that will allow it for easier setting up on the job site. Then later on, another function is that we may empty the water with the gravity by opening this valve. This is the lowest. This is connected to the lowest place of the lowest point of the water tank. Then later on, we may use these two and this third connection in order to fill in the water tank by the means of this pump. To fill in the water by the means of this pump, we need to first close this valve, connect the external hose with the sucking element into the external source of water, then connect a short hose which is delivered with the machine between these two points, and then open this one and start the pump action. So we will suck the water from here. The water will be pumped at 300 liters per minute inside of this tank. The output capacity of this pump, in case you want to pump out the water from the water tank, is about 500 liters per minute. So it is pretty quick, I would say. It will feed most of the rollers between the operators will start to light their cigarettes. In order to to pump out the water, it is also very simple. You simply open this valve, and start the pump. The pump is driven hydraulically, and it is started by an electro valve which is operated from this point. If anything bad happens, you can also stop and start the full machine by pushing this emergency button. That we will find on the right side of the TS Vario sprayers are the connections for filling out the emulsion by the means of the pump, or filling in the emulsion from the external source of emulsion, also by the means of the pump. On the right side we will have the feeding connection, and the output is located on the left side. In the middle we will find a small electrical box which can control the pneumatic valves inside of the main chamber, which allow us to switch between different circuits. So by switching left, we will turn the circuit of the pumping out, and by switching on the right side, we will switch the internal pneumatic valve settings, but in all of the emulsion circuit, to feeding in. After connection of the hose, we release, of course, these valves and control the speed of the pump by this potentiometer. After the process, we can simply lift this like that, and we may use also the additional option which is located in the cabin, in the PLC control on the LCD on the touchscreen. We may also blow out those hoses which are left here, probably dirty with emulsion, we can blow them out with some pressurized air in order for those to be cleaner next day if you want to use them. Beneath, on the right side, we will also find the emergency output for the emulsion, which is also located in the lowest place of the tank and is opened by this red lever here. This is only used in the emergency situations. Above is the last element that we need to speak about on the right side of the machine. This is simply the hydraulic oil cooler, which is placed here to provide the highest efficiency of cooling of the hydraulic oil. So if we go back to the end of the machine, we will find these doors. Behind those doors we will find the emulsion filter. Please clean the filter at least once a year. You have to just unscrew these 4 bolts. Make sure, of course, that there is no emulsion left in the system. In case if there will be any residues, they will fall into this nice little place, and make sure that the chamber is clean. But anyway, you have to clean the filter at least once a year, taking it out and cleaning it with an open fire. Now we have come to the back of the machine to see the main engine bay, in which we also have many other components, which I will try to explain you now one by one, starting from the right top. What you see here is the tank for the liquid for cleaning the system of emulsion. We simply put the cleaning liquid, for example diesel, inside of this tank. We can see the level on this side, and then use this liquid for the cleaning system by operation on the touch panel. All of the valves in our circuits are fully automatic, controlled by a pneumatic actuators, which then are controlled by electric signals from the controller. So all of the different valve setups are all controlled now automatically as per wish of the operator. He never has to come back in here to change any valve setup. If he wants to use the lens or if he wants to clean the system, he simply does it by a push of the button. This is why we have these big air reservoirs here, in which we store the air necessary for cleaning of this emulsion circuit. Coming back to the right side, we will find a hydraulic ventilator, which is running at a constant speed, and an electric one, which is powered and set by electricity. We set up the temperature. In this box there is a special sensor which regulates the temperature, in which this one will start. So this is basically a secondary electronic fan in case the temperature would really go up high. Usually the other one is sufficient enough for 99% of the countries. Then later on we will find like I said, the electronic valves with pneumatic actuation. Then a full setup of pneumatic valves. Next to this we will find the yellow burner. What is very important to know is that there is this red button in here. This is also an indicator. If there is any failure, for example this filter which is filtering the diesel which is going to the yellow burner is stuck, or if the fuel is missing, you will find that the red light is blinking in here. And in case this happens, please push and hold this button for 3 seconds, and then it will be restored to the previous state, and we'll try to restart again. Most probably not having any problems with this. On the left side we see, like I said, the PT100 sensor that is located the most possible way from all over the tank, in the lowest point in the middle, so we surely have the correct reading of the emulsion. So the temperature and the high storages for setting up of this yellow burner is all set up by the touch screen in the cabin in the front. On the left top side we will find a heat exchanger system, which steals the heat of the Kubota coolant system, then transfers it through this plate system of heat exchanger, and then is pumped by our own electric pump through the code of our emulsion pump, which is a gear type Varisco V60/2. It is powered hydraulically, and it is heated up by the exchanger on this side. so we have never any problems by the startup of the machine, even if the mornings are really cold. In the same way, we are heating up the coat of our emulsion filter, which is located in here and accessible, of course, like I shown you before, from the outside. We have different connections in here, from one of which is also the electronic pressure switch, which transmits the pressure spraying signal to the LCD panel in the front. And on the left side, we've got the main engine of our spray, which is a Kubota D900-02. It is fully controlled from the cabin as well, together with the speed and all of different LED indicators like oil pressure, battery, and so on and so on. On the left top, we will see the main hydraulic tank with the hydraulic oil and different filters, high pressure filter and others on the left side. So one of the most important parts of each spray truck is the spray bar itself. By the C-Vario sprayers, the spray bar is controlled hydraulically up and down, and also extended both left and right side hydraulically. The basic width starts from 2.5 meters and ends on 5 meters, and the amount of nozzles starts from 16 up to 40 by the 5-meter version. The distance between the nozzles and the highest version is of course 125 millimeters, which corresponds to the double coverage of spring pattern, which is demanded almost everywhere nowadays. This machine has 4-meter spray bar. It has 32 nozzles, and at such configuration we can start and stop, open and close all of the different pairs of nozzles by the control from the LCD from the cabin of the truck. Like we see, the actuators are connected pneumatically, and each section can be started from the touchscreen panel by the operator. So you never have to make your hands dirty, like you can see it by some of our competitors, that manual machines have sometimes manual opening of different sections. Here, the pneumatic actuators will help you never get your hands dirty. Optionally, the spray bar can be heated with a special system of a heat exchanger. We steal the heat from the Kubota engine and run the hot liquid through our spray bar. Our spray bar also has got a few sensors which allow us to read the position of the extensions. So in case that you are operating the machine on let's say a left turn, you may open the right extension with the joystick, and then the nozzles will start automatically, because the sensors which are located on the extensions will send the signal to the PLC, to the controller, that the nozzles have to be actuated additionally. So in this way you can only focus on getting the correct line of the spring pattern on a turn, for example. On the left side of the machine we will find a few things. In between we will find the sliding doors for the engine compartment. From here we can have the easy access to the filter for the diesel, to the battery, and many other components. One of the things that you have to take notice of is this little limiter switch. This electro servo motor is responsible for controlling the engine speed of this Kubota D900-02 engine. By the means of a joystick from the operator cabin, we control the speed of the engine, but if the engine speed has not reached the set amount, which is described by the position of this sensor, we may not be able to start some modes of circulation. So if the engine speed will be too low, not sufficient in our opinion, the sensor will not give the signal, and on the screen, on the PLC, on the touch screen, we will see a red warning that will not allow us the entering to the modes of different valve setup for circulation, for small circulation, for circulation through the spray bar. The other limitation set by the administrator of such system may be also the temperatures of the circulation. Like I mentioned before, there is a PT100 sensor built inside of the tank, which controls the temperature of emulsion. If the preset emulsion temperature is, for example, set to 45 degrees for beginning the circulation by the small circuit, if it's below, then we will not be able to change the valve mode to start a small circulation, but these parameters can be easily changed by an administrator. One of the most important things is this little red switch, which connects or disconnects the ground for the battery. We recommend that you disengage this by everyday use and simply leave it plugged like this. I'll leave the key somewhere hanging in here. Later on the other side of the same side of the machine, we will also find the diesel tank. The same tank is used to fuel the Kubota engine, and the same tank is used to fuel the Riello burner, which is inside of the cabin. Above we will find the emulsion level indicator. It is working in two ways. It is analog, like we can see right now. It's pointing out us also the minimum level of heating. Below this red setting, the burner will not be allowed to start. So if you ever have any problems with the burner not presumably starting, please check if you have enough emulsion in the tank. This is one of the most and the biggest mistakes of our operators. We get many phone calls that the burner doesn't want to work, and since there is almost no emulsion in the system, we cannot allow the burner to start because it may be a risk of fire, even because the emulsion is not covering the full heating system. Behind these metal plates there is a small clever system that allows us to transfer the reading of the emulsion level into the PLC, once again into the cabin. So the operator will know exactly what the reading says and how much emulsion has he got left. And one last connection from here is a mirror from the other side. This connection can allow you to pump the water to the water tank, which is located here, by the means of an external pump. So also these pipes go here up to the top and then straight into the water tank. The first but also the most important step of the installation of our spray unit on top of your truck will be the connection between the intermediate frame that comes together with our machine, which is located in here. This is the part that we produce for you, which is perfectly fitted to your truck and provides a very good weight distribution between the rear and front axle. After the delivery, you will have to find the correct position of the intermediate frame to the frame of your truck, which is of course located below. And you will do that by installation of and welding of these elements. They have to be located as close as it's possible to the leaf spring of the front suspension, which is located here. And then each neck will have to be welded between 80 and 120 centimeters to the right. And the same, of course, on the right side. We will deliver these elements to you so you can easily fit and weld them the way that is the easiest for you, because some of the points of the frame will not be accessible because there are some bolts already mounted, as you can see. So we have mounted this mount as close as it's possible to the leaf spring, and then each 80 centimeters we have provided the next one. So at this point we will discuss about the installation of the spray bar on your chassis. This machine has been already built by us in our premises, but in case we have delivered this machine to you, chances are high that you will have to assemble the spray bar manually yourself. The first step will be the recognition of the direction which the spray bar is facing. You will recognize the correct direction by this element facing forward. This element is only placed on the left side of the spray bar. Then later on you will need to bolt on the construction to the chassis, to the intermediate frame. And to do this you have to bolt those 4 screws on one side, on the left side of the machine, and on the other side of the machine you will also find 4 bolts. Please remember to also install this rubber shield between the wheels of the car and between our spray bar. This will keep the wheels clean from the emulsion. It is also bolted in these 2 places. So the next steps by the installation of the spray bar will be the connection of different hoses, like pneumatic hoses, emulsion hoses and hydraulic hoses. There will be also a few electric connections that you will have to make, but they are pretty well marked. So let's start by the emulsion hoses, which we can see here. This connection will be the only one that you will have to make yourself. The rest will come pre-assembled with your spray bar. The same connection will have to be done on the other side of the truck, of course. Next, we have to focus on the pneumatic cables, which go from all of the different nozzles, actuators. We have hidden them nicely, but then you can see that all of the connections that are already marked, they can be found here. So on one side you will have the number, you have to match it to the same number on the other side of the pneumatic hose. The final step of the connection of different hoses will be the connection of the hydraulic hoses. Also pretty straightforward, always well marked and easy to find. When it comes to the electric connections, we have to install from 3 up to 5 sensors, depending of the different standard of your spray bar, if it's 4 or 5 meters and how many nozzles are there. The sensors are located here. This is the left side, and there are 3 sensors that are responsible for the left side. Sensor number 2. And further in the back we can see the sensors responsible from the right side. These will also be marked with L1, L2, L3 for the left side and R1, R2, R3 for the other side. So all of the different connections will be marked as either some kind of marking like we can see here, or with a tape. The next element to be installed will be this 32 tooth wheel. It has to be installed on the drive shaft of your truck in order to provide us a very precise reading of the speed, which then turns into very precise spraying and control of the pressure during the change of the speed of the truck. This 32 tooth wheel is, as I said, mounted on a drive shaft, and above it you will have to install a speed sensor which will read every single tooth from this wheel. We will actually deliver 2 different kinds of those, so that we make sure that one of them will fit for sure. They will have to be installed either in the front of the gearbox here, just behind the gearbox, on the drive shaft, or if the access is not so good, then we will install it like it was done in this machine by the end of the drive shaft. We can see the sensor above. I'll take a closer look from the inside. So in the middle of the screen we can see now how we have installed the tooth wheel on the drive shaft and the sensor above. This holder will be also delivered together with the wheel shaft. You may have to make some small adjustments in order to make sure that the sensor is not more than 4 millimeters away from the drive shaft. So 4 millimeters is the maximum distance that this sensor will figure out. This sensor, by the delivery of the machine, is usually put and packed along the side of the machine, most probably somewhere around this compartment, which is the hydraulic radiator. It will be probably laying somewhere here. It's a long cable, so it will fit to any kind of different installation types. So the last step by the installation of the TS Vario sprayer truck is the installation of the control panel. Now I'm sitting specially behind it, so I can explain to you how we have installed and done the cabling in this cabin. First of all, you need to measure and mark 4 different holes for these four bolts, and drill a hole through the cabin. Then you open the cabin of your truck and try to bolt those 4 screws from beneath and from the above. So we'll need 2 people to finish this assignment. Later on you will have to find a way to put the cables underneath your truck. 99% of the time we are able to put the cables to the front of the truck without any problems. There are many technological holes left by the producers that allow us to install the cables in this way. So these cables are running underneath the dashboard here, and they are hidden under the passenger side. Then they are turned by the front of the car and go underneath the cabin back to the machine. This is the only way that we can be sure that the cables don't get damaged when you are opening and closing the cabin of the truck by the service job. So the last step before you can set up your sprayer on the chassis is the connection of these three sockets. And starting from the left, we've got the connection responsible for all of the electric signals going from the control panel in the operator cabin. Then in the middle, we've got the socket which is responsible for delivery of the energy to the components in the back. And then we've got the last socket, the smallest one, is responsible for the communication between the PLC and the touchscreen. These sockets are very heavy duty and they will surely withstand any heavy weather like rain or storm, never give you any problems. And they also will allow you, if you want to use your machine, for example in the winter time, for any other purpose, you can simply take off the unit from the frame and disconnect these three cables. Nothing left will have to be done in order to use the same truck for other purpose, for example for winter maintenance. So now the final step in order to learn to control your TSC Vario emulsion sprayer is to learn all of the different controls which are located in the cabin of the truck. And I will go with you through all of these different controls, but first I would like to start up the system so it loads in the background. And we start the system by turning the main voltage on with this button, with this switch. You see it lights green. And then we have to remember to push this green button in order to give the voltage to the control, to all of the PLC computer systems which are located in the back part of the machine. There might be situations that you will not be able to start up the PLC because some of the, either this emergency stop or the one which is located in the back part of the machine is depressed. And if this happens, you will find an error on the screen, which then after cancelling you will need to put the screen back, switch back on. Let me show you for an example. If the system is already loaded, we should see that the pop-up emergency stop pressed, and we will not be able to cancel it until we turn back this green switch on. So we have disconnected the electricity from the main PLC system. Of course the engine would have also stopped, but there's only electricity left in this box. So in order to release this error, we just press this green button back again, but make sure that the switch is depressed. So now we made the error disappear. We will go through all of these different modes in a second, but first let's go through the main functions of the operator panel which are set outside. So the joystick on the top right side is meant to move out the right hydraulic extension of the spray bar, which we would see here. The next switch is switching between the manual and automatic mode. The manual mode will be usually used in order to spray with the spraying manual lens, or in order to fill in or fill out the emulsion from the emulsion tank manually. And we will control the emulsion pump with this potentiometer from 0 to 10. All of the automatic modes will be used when spraying the emulsion by the means of the computer, and we will get to that in a second. The green button here is the button which works as a final confirmation of the spraying process, and to spray we need to set up the parameters and the different valve modes here in the PLC, and we will get to that. This is just a mechanical confirmation of spraying, so this will finally open the nozzles of the spray bar after everything is set up properly. We found out that this just works better by different and heavy conditions. You just set it up here, make sure that the emulsion is circulating through the spray bar, and then just open and close the nozzles. The next joystick is controlling the hydraulic spray bar up and down and regulating the height. Of course, all of these controls, so left side, up and down, and right side, are also set up just in the back of the cabin of the emulsion sprayer. So please remember also to make sure that the security bolts that are in the spray bar for the transport are taken out before you start to correct the height with this little switch. Next switch, which is located in here, is responsible for our internal system of circulation with the heat exchanger, where we heat up the emulsion pump and where we heat up the emulsion filter. As I have mentioned before, we use the heat from the Kubota engine, which is then exchanged by heat exchanger, plate exchanger, and then pumped through the coat of the pump and filter. And in this way, the startup is much easier every day, and we prevent the pump from being clogged and stopped. So the next switch on the left side is just the left extension of the hydraulic spray bar. Next switch we already know is the main voltage. The other one is the control voltage, so these two have always to be on in order to work properly with the system. And below we've got the switch which is responsible for the warning light, which is located on the top of the machine. Below we've got the emergency stop and all of the different controls which are responsible for the work of Kubota engine, which is located in the back. So as you see, this is already turned on. We've got 3 positions of the main key. The first one lights the electricity. Then we've got the position in which the glow plugs are heating up. We always wait until this light goes down. We hold the key in the same position, and after this glow plugs go out, we can start the engine. And here the engine is starting in the back. With this control we can turn up the speed of the engine until the point where this engine speed too low, a light will die. Please also remember that after switching this engine on, there is a slight drop of voltage and the PLC gets disconnected from the touchscreen. This is why we see those hashes here. It will take approximately 30-40 seconds until they come back to life again and we can control our machine. I will turn off the engine just in order to not make any mess, because we are in the side of the hole right now. So the other controls which we have here is only the hour counter and the temperature of coolant of Kubota engine. And now we will proceed to the touchscreen. So I will just turn the lights off so we can see better the touchscreen off. So now we will go through all of the main functions of the touchscreen, which is located in the cabin of the truck. I'll discuss all of the different options which allow us to control the TSC Vario spring. Starting from the top, we've got work mode, which is the most important mode, and we will get into that and elaborate in a second. Next one is the display mode, where we can either recalibrate our touchscreen in case that you feel that it's not reacting correctly to your finger pushes. Then you can recalibrate the screen. There's a cleaning mode beneath that to allow you to turn off the screen for 20-30 seconds and use a wipe just to clean it off. Then we can turn off the buzzer, which is used as an alarm in case of pressures being too high or too low, and the visualization, which is just a programmer mode in order to help you enter the subsystem of the sprayer. Then we've got the parameter mode, which is used only by our service, in which we can set up different, more complex parameters. Service mode, which is very important for you to know, is that this button here should not be light green. Sometimes we give our service guys the password to the service mode and they forget to turn it off. In case the service mode is green, if this button is green, most of the functions of the unit will not work properly. So if you are a serviceman from Strassmayr, please remember to always turn it off after checking all of the different functions that are available on the service mode. The last mode is the print mode, where we can fill all of those different lines with the parameters that we want. The data which will be read by the computer is set on the second side. So we've got the average sprayed amount, we've got the total spraying amount, we've got the worked range, and we've got the worked surface. We can either print it to a standard printer, it is located here as an option, it is not delivered in standard, or we can print it, all of those different data, to USB as a report, which will, each time we press this, will be set up to an Excel file. The USB port is just below the box, you will not see it from here, but just beneath the main control box you will find the USB input. So now let us go to the main work mode in order for you to try to understand how to work every day with this machine and what are the different steps. First of all, most probably after you stopped your working day, you will find the screen looking like this. Engine speed too low is a kind of a security banner here, which we will only be able to turn off when the engine is running and the engine speed is set up to some point. In this way, we add the control of the engine speed, and there's a sensor which tells us in the back that okay, now the engine is running at the correct speed and the pump will have no problems, the emulsion pump will have no problem to pump the emulsion, and there's enough power at this range of revolution speed. So after we have the screen looking like that, we can speak about the different positions which we can see here. Starting from the top, we of course have the arrow which allows us to go back. We've got the different valve setups in case of the Sevario sprayer. These machines are equipped now with the automatic valve system, which allows us the automatic cleaning and automatic switch between different modes of emulsion circuit. We will get back to that in a second. Then we've got the confirmation of spraying, which will only work also if the main spray bar circuit is chosen. This is the only way, if we have the emulsion in the spray bar, this is the only way that we know that the emulsion is circulating. Only then we are able to confirm the spraying mode. This is kind of setting up the emulsion pump to a little bit higher revolutions, which then will allow for a pressure drop when we finally release the spraying with this button above. On the right, we've got the arrow which allows us to go into a second screen. We will get back into that in a second. Below, we've got the main spray bar nozzles, which are lighting green when they are turned on, and if they are turned off, they are gray like that, and this will be seen here. We can turn on each pair in case of a double coverage of spraying pattern. All of the nozzles are easily switchable on and off in pairs. After that, below we've got the actual and correct working width. Now, because the spray bar is totally closed, we will have 2.5 meters. So even if we turn off these nozzles, it will still be 2.5 meters. It will only be visualized if the spray bar was actually extended. But please watch what happens in case I turn something off the main spray bar. This dimension will surely change by 250 millimeters less, right? Now it will be 2 meters. So this is how you control the spraying pattern and the spraying nozzles in the back. Like I said, working width and the emulsion level, which is visualized here with this orange bar. On the left part, we've got the main setup of the spraying amount, which is given to you by kilograms per square meter. To change this parameter, you simply enter this mode and put, for example, 0.5, and then the speed is recalculated. Here we see the spray bar, spray pressure in bars. This is the optimum pressure which we want to spray. Let's set it up on 2 bars. Please remember that the nozzles that we give with our machines, the Leclerc nozzles, they work correctly in between the spraying pressures of, let's say, 1.6 to 2.5 bars. Even better would be if they work between 1.8 and 2.4 bars. And in order for you to understand how this system works, we of course know that we have to have different kinds of nozzles when we want to spray 2 kilograms per square meter and when we want to spray 0.2. And we see easily now, after I put 2 kilograms per square meter, the set speed, which is calculated for us, this is something that we will have to reach with our truck. This is almost impossible. It's 10 meters per minute. So it means that the nozzles which are installed here in this truck are very small. Always the speed, which is the result of the spraying amount and the pressure, should be in the limit between 45 and 85 meters per minute. So I know that these nozzles here, they work best with, let's say, 0.25 kilograms per minute, and the speed which is set is 79 meters per minute. What is important for you to know is that this is only the speed which is the optimum speed for spraying at 2 bars. Our machine is equipped with the sensor which calculates the exact speed on the shaft, and then the system, if it is set up by the speed addicted mode, type of regulation speed addicted, this will control the spraying pressure in order to always obtain this given spray amount. So as if you want to figure out, just think about how you can increase the amount, or how can you have this constant amount when going faster. Then you will of course have to raise the pressure, and you will see that the actual pressure will rise when you go higher than 79 meters per minute. It will be over 2 bars, and if you go slower, it will, if you go over 70 on the actual speed, the pressure which is here will be lower than the set 2 bars. For example, it will go up to 1.6, 1.7 bars, and this will allow you to get the constant output of 0.25 kilograms per square meter. So please always make sure that you watch the pressure to obtain the optimum between 1.8, 2.4 bars, 1.7, 2.5. This would be really good. On the right side we have the burner controls. Very easy setup. We input the temperature by pushing this button. Minimum is 30, maximum is 90. And the actual temperature which is shown below. We start the burner operation by switching this button on and off. So now we are looking at the most important part of the circuits of emulsion. So as you know, in the versions of the C-Vario before, we have to go to the back compartment of our sprayer and change the different valve setups in order to have the correct flow of emulsion into the circuit that we want. So for example, all of the small circuit circulation modes, the main spray bar circuit, filling the emulsion to the tank and out of the tank had to be set manually by turning on and off different valves which were located in the back compartment of our emulsion sprayer. And the newest version, all of this is done automatically with the control of PLC, and only you pushing the buttons correctly into an order on this screen. So going from the top, we've got the small circuit circulation. This is for preheating of emulsion into the circuit of the spray bar later on. The first step would be to turn on the small circuit circulation. It will light green. Now we know that the pump is pumping and the valves are set up in a way that is the shortest way going through the pump for only homogenization of the emulsion in the tank. So this is the mode which is used by heating up the emulsion before we go to the spray bar circuit and effectively into spraying mode. After the small circuit has circulated, please remember to clean the small circuit with this button. We have to leave it for about 10 to 15 seconds, but then always make sure that the pressure, which is located on the top right corner, is more than 7 bars. We clean the circuit once for 10-15 seconds. Then we wait until the pressure is correct again and put it back again, which turns the pressurized air through the circuit, so all of the different parts of the circuit, of the small circuit circulations, are clean. After that, the emulsion has a correct temperature, let's say 60 Celsius degrees. We are able to turn on the main spray bar circuit with this button. Now the emulsion is going through the spray bar by the means of the pump. Now the machine is turned off, so we will not see any pressure, but I just want to show you how to actually start spraying mode. After the spray bar circuit is chosen, we simply confirm the spraying with this button, and we open the nozzles by pushing this green button. Then the valves were opened and the spraying was done behind our machine. Then we just turn it off and either circulate through the main spray bar circuit or use the machine for other modes. After we have finished the spraying, we have to clean the spray bar with decompressed air. So once again, we either turn it off or just turn the main bar cleaning air. These modes will switch on and off automatically. To clean the spray bar, same situation, we just put the button for leave it going for, let's say, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, depending on emulsion. Wait until the pressure rises from your braking system, and then do it again. You can do it while driving back to the depot, for example. This is nothing difficult. The other button on the right side, called detergent, is used to put the cleaning fluid into the circuit of the main spray bar. This can be used in some situations. We have found out that standard main bar cleaning, if it's done correctly, doesn't require any detergent, but if the emulsion is especially sticky, you can put the diesel into the tank that you have seen in the back cabin. This is a special detergent tank. This should be any fluid that can clean the emulsions, preferably diesel, and then we also leave it going for at least 15-20 seconds. Then the detergent will be sucked into the system of the main spray bar circuit, and we can leave it for the night, or if we want to really clean the spray bar very well, we can open the main bar emergency cleaning with this button. This will push the air and all of what is left of the residues of the detergent through the spray bar, but it will also open the nozzles. But this is a very good way to see and check for yourself if the spray bar is really empty. Now below we've got the lance circuit filling in and emptying from the emulsion tank. Please also take a close look that these modes for lance are only available in manual mode, and this manual mode is chosen by this switch. And the modes for the spray bar, which are above, are only available in auto mode, so you will not be able to start the small circuit if this switch is on the manual mode. Auto mode is working well for the modes of spray bar and spraying with the spray bar circuit. The modes below, which are the lance control, will allow us to control the speed of the pump manually with this potentiometer, and the connection for the lance is located in the back. Also, we can blow the air through the lance circuit and make sure that there are no residues left in the lance. Below we've got two modes for filling in and emptying out, also working only in manual. Filling in, we'll set up the valves in such a way that will allow you to pump in by the means of the pump the emulsion from an external source, and emptying out will of course set up the valves in the other way, which will allow to empty out the emulsion tank by the means of the emulsion from the emulsion tank. These two small buttons here, which are called air, are only to be used carefully if you want to clean the pipes which were used for filling in or emptying out the emulsion. So we can blow the air through the connections which are outside of the machines. The filling in mode and emptying out mode is also located in the electrical box, which is outside of the emulsion tank and located close to the hose connections for those actions. One very important button before any connection, so before connecting the lance hose into the connection which is located in the back, or when connecting the hoses for filling in or emptying out the emulsion, please always make sure that there is no spraying pressure in the circuit left. This pressure has a reading which is done on the emulsion filter. You can find a situation where there's some pressure left in the circuit, which may be dangerous. Maybe 0.2 bar. It will not be dangerous by opening of those valves for hoses for connection of the filling in of the emulsion or emptying out the emulsion. But there's a special button in order to release this pressure. Simply press this button and it will open up the different valves in such a way that the pressure will get back to the tank and there will be no external connection and no external pressure by the system of the emulsion. If we want to precisely learn how the system is working, we have added a special function which is called valve map. So in case we want to see how the system is working, where are we pumping right now, we may see and check this by this valve map screen. And as you can see, there is a drawing which represents the emulsion system, the emulsion circuit in our machine, and there are green lights blinking by the current mode. So we see now that this is the inlet from the tank. The main supply valve is now opened. We are going through the emulsion pump and coming back to the tank by the small circulation valve. This would change, for example, if I would go to the main spray bar circuit. We've got the main supply valve, emulsion pump, the big circulation valve is opened, and we are going through the emulsion filter and through the spray bar. And this will probably take you a little bit more to understand, but trust me, it's not so difficult to understand. It will actually, this drawing may help you to understand what and when should be cleaned. There is a second screen which is also available from either this position or the main screen, which allows us to set up a few other parameters. Like I said before, type of regulation can be either speed addicted, so allowing us to obtain a constant output per square meter. The pressure will vary depending from the speed of the truck, or constant pressure, where the PLC will try to keep whatever is set up in this field. Not depending how many nozzles are opened, this will always keep at 1 bar if it's set up at 1 bar, 2 bars if it's set up at 2 bars, of course. But we prefer always to leave it in the speed addicted mode. The other two things which you may not be very interested in, because we found out that this setting of 40% is working best most of the time, is the revolution speed for spraying start. This green button should be always at auto, and 40% is the speed in which the pump, the emulsion pump, is set before the actual spraying is done. So if we have the main spray bar circuit and now we put the spraying mode, it is not in auto mode like you see, so now I have to put it in auto mode because I will not be allowed to spray by the main spray bar circuit if it's not in auto mode. Then if we put this button on spraying here, it prepares the pump for the opening of the nozzles, which we will do by pushing this button. The speed at which the pump is turning right now is set up here by this 40% line. The parameter which is below corresponds to what the speed of the pump is if this spraying button is not turned on. Now we always also set it at 40%. So this is the line below. So once again, revolution speed for spraying start is after this is green. If it is not green, then the second parameter is true. Material correction is not used very widely. In case of some polymer modified emulsions, we maybe have to sometimes add 1 or 2% in order to have a very correct reading per square meters of material. And below we've got the nozzle factor and density of our material. The nozzle factor is corresponding to the nozzles that there are currently installed in the machine, and like I said, you should always have at least 2 different kinds of nozzles if you want to spray a very different kind of very different amounts of emulsions by your machine. This nozzle factor is very low, and it corresponds to spraying of around 0.2 up to 0.4 kilograms. We can see still that the speed is more or less correct. In case you would like to spray much more, like 2 kilograms per square meter, you'd have to get nozzles and install them in a spray bar which have a higher nozzle factor. Then when you put 2 kilograms per square meter in here, the speed will be correct. The last line in our screen is the kind of a report of the work done before the last reset or after the last reset. Material usage in kilograms, the worked range in 400 meters was done, and the worked surface was 883 square meters. We can reset it from this screen. And it is done. The last thing that you will have to perform by each installation of our TSC Vario on any chassis, on any truck, is to check if the readings of the distance are correct with the real-life measurements. The parameter which is responsible for reading from our 32 tooth wheel from the shaft is just below here and is called travel per turn. This indicates travel per one turn on the shaft, and this of course varies between different cars, different differential shafts, and so on and so on. And usually how we check this measurement is that we measure manually on real life 50 meters outside of our truck with for let's say measuring tape, and we prepare the emulsion sprinkler to spray for 50 meters. We will have the readings of the emulsion spraying hidden here in work mode, and then in the second screen we will find the worked range. This the amount of meters which will be shown here will be only added in case that we spray the actual material. So it's best to be done with just water in the tank at the beginning of the installation of the machine on the chassis. So once again, we measure 50 meters outside on any road, and we measure from a standpoint to stop, let's say from a spray bar when it started and when it stopped and when it started. Then we reset this parameter so it's always 0 here. We set up all of the different modes just in a way that will allow us to spray, to actually open the nozzles, because only then we will calculate the distance. And after spraying for the amount which is indicated outside by, let's say, markings on the road, we go and check if the computer has done the correct reading from the sensor. If the road that the computer is calculated in here was bigger than what was actually measured outside, then we have to recalibrate the parameter which is in here. Either give it a little bit higher or a little bit lower. Always, please, best start by, if it's 733 and I would have to install this machine on any other truck, and the readings were a little bit too high, and I would go every 10, 15 or 20 up or below. So usually it will take you 2 or 3 runs just to get the correct reading of those 50 meters. And please always remember that after each run it will be best to reset the settings here to have a very precise reading of the road outside. From my side, this would be it. In case that you have any questions, you know always how to find us. Thank you for watching this video, and we will be hearing from you soon. Thank you very much, and goodbye.